mission in the jungles in Indonesia. They've been here before. Our people love them. They embrace them. They pray for them. They support them. Let's welcome Scott back.
Last time we were here was a couple of years ago, so there might be some new people that aren't familiar with us. Like Pastor said, we work in Indonesia, and this is one of the churches that has a lot of people in it that have been supporting us for probably over 7 years now, since before we ever left. And I've just got a couple minutes today, and there's two people I want to tell you about from the Dao tribe, the tribe we work in Indonesia, that have been profoundly affected by God's word this past year. And just the thing for me that goes along with these stories is a verse that has just been eating at me all week long in my own personal studies. Philippians 4:4. It's a simple verse. It simply says, "Rejoice in the Lord always." And again I say rejoice. Amen. This is an interesting verse to me because it's coming from one of the greatest missionaries of all time. You think about Paul, all the things he went through. But he, after going through all those things, takes the time to command us to rejoice. Why is that? I mean, in the book of Philippians, it talks just as much about joy and rejoicing as it does about affliction. And these people have modeled to me the relationship and what's important about linking those two things together. I cannot be a sad missionary and be biblical. I can't. I have to rejoice. And the reason why is because rejoicing, even in the midst of affliction, in the midst of trials, shows that my joy does not rest in my situation, but in Jesus Christ. One of the men that has modeled that to me this year, his name is Wikipite. Wikipite is our first evangelist. He's a guy that we've been working with. I taught him how to read and write after we formed their language. We wrote it down for him, and I taught him how to read and write. We started training him. So many people know about Wikipite. You've read our updates. Wikipite wanted to be the first evangelist to carry the gospel to a new place this past year. He wanted to go to the lowlands village called Talmi. He went down there, he took the books, he took his ability to read and write that we had taught him, he took the things that we taught him, and he began to teach the Talmi people. But as he began to teach, the lowland sicknesses, the malaria, and the different things, giardia from the bad water, started eating away at his system, till he got skinnier and skinnier and skinnier and thinner and more sick. And he sent up his brother named Kokipia. His brother came up and said, "I think Wikipite's going to die." Right off the bat, I thought, there's no way Wikipite's going to die. God would never take him. God wouldn't take him. Our first evangelist, God just wouldn't take him. And I went down fully confident that he was going to recover. We had to hike 2 4,500-foot mountains to get to him, to get to this place. And we went across the vine bridges, went over the mountains, we got down with him, I carried medicine, and when I walked out of the jungle and looked to my left, down the river, right before the village, right there on the side of the village, there was a little lean-to. And the reason it was by the river is because when you're in the lowlands and it's so hot, there's a little breeze that comes off the river. Someone had built a little shed there for Wikipite. I didn't recognize him when I first saw him when I came out of the woods. He was so emaciated and so skinny. He looked like someone from one of those Ethiopian commercials, you know, that just is totally just looks like they're on death's doorstep. I didn't recognize him until I got about 10 feet from the shed, because last time I'd seen him, he was bulky. He was a good, brawny guy. So when I walked over, I saw him sitting there, and at the moment I realized it was him, it hit me. He really might die. And I just started weeping. Because Wikipite's one of my best friends. He's one of the ones that taught me the Dao language. I started weeping. And I walked over to him, and he saw me weeping. He realized, what I was weeping about, because I was seriously scared for his life. And he looked at me with a smile on his face. And he said, "Brother, don't weep for me. Don't weep for me, brother." He said, "Though my body is like a mountain stream that hasn't been fed by the rain for many days and has dried up, he said, my soul is strong. My spirit is strong." He said, "I know where I'm going. And if I die, God's chosen that for me." And 2 weeks later, we cooked for him a couple days, hiked him back up. 2 weeks later, he died. Just knocked me off my rocker that God would take him. I didn't understand it. I questioned God, and you wrestle with my faith. And it's one of those things that really made me think. But the last couple days before we got on the heli to come back to have our child here in America, I got a knock on my door. It was Wikipite's younger brother, Patama. Patama came up and knocked on my door, and he said, "Come out here, Degapi." That's what they call me. He said, "I want to talk to you." And I said, "Okay." I said, what do you want? What do you want to talk about?" He said, "I want to join the literacy classes." He had never shown an interest in this before. A lot of the other men had, but he hadn't. And I said, that's great. You know, you'll be able to learn how to read God's word for yourself, but why? Why do you want to join literacy classes now when you didn't care before? And he said to me, when we die, people die. He said, we don't die well. We call out to the spirits. We say, shoot our pigs, so that the spirits will take them when we won't die. We cling to our lives. He said, there's not many people that I've seen die well. He said, there's one man that I saw die well. And that was my older brother, Wiki Mike. He said, when he died, he had a smile on his face. And do you remember what he said? And I said, yeah, I remember what he said. Because Patama was there that day too. He's one that led me on that hike to go down and help his brother. He was also related. Patama and Wiki Mike. He said that he was not scared. He knew where he was going. He said, when I saw it, he said, I decided this message had to be true. And he said, I want to learn how to read and write. I believe in Jesus Christ. And he said, I want to take his place and carry God's word to my baby. This is an affliction that knocked me silly. I just didn't know what to think of it. But God used it for his glory. And if I have anything I want to leave you with this morning, is simply this. That we have a reason to rejoice. And we also have a reason to suffer. We have a reason. We have something that is greater than anything else we have in this life. We have something that will give us more joy than anything else in this life and for eternity to come. And I just want to say to you guys, thanks for praying for us. Keep praying for the Tao people. Pray for people like Patama that are being trained right now, reading and writing, trained at the best place. Thanks for praying for us, and thank you for your time.